All right, now to our first conversation. As gas concerns continue to mount in Europe, Nigeria is in the forefront to provide alternative gas supply to Europe. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited signed 4 additional MOUs on the execution of the 5,000-kilometer Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline. Well, joining us to discuss this and other matters now is Mr. Felix Ekundayo, MD Asiko Energy and President NLPGA. Great to have you on the program.
Good to be on your program, Ladi. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so we've signed more MOUs, at this time, and this is coming at a time where we're discovering, more illegal, pipelines, and we still have that war against vandalism and crude oil theft in the country. Do you think we're ready for this kind of venture into Europe?
I think Nigeria has always been well placed to supply Europe. The method of supply is really the challenge. The pipelines, for me, are a longer-term project, okay? And there are many reports in terms of whether it's supposed to be 25 years, 15 years, and so on before the projects are actually completed. Now, if that is the case, we may actually miss the window of opportunity. The shorter-term wins for delivery of gas to Europe are the existing infrastructure, things like the Nigeria LNG and Mobilo. So various forms of gas can be delivered in liquefied form to Europe. So it's about supporting those companies to be able to do more.
And at this time, we know we're having issues, supplying to Portugal. There was also some kind of talk about them looking elsewhere, for LNG, because they do rely on Nigeria for LNG. But what do you think is the problem here, looking at Portugal, because we don't want to miss that market?
No, we certainly don't want to miss the opportunity, that's for sure. And we don't want to miss existing customers who have been, I think they're probably one of the foundation customers for Nigeria LNG. But the supply issues are not unrelated to the point that you made earlier, which is in terms of the illegal bunkering, the pipeline sabotage and so on. If you can't produce oil, you generally can't produce gas. So our gas production volumes have gone down. So the first thing to do, as I said, the short-term thing to do really will be to, first of all, address the insecurities, address the pipeline breakages, which are not just affecting gas internationally, they're actually affecting energy supply locally. So many of in our industry, for example, the Nigeria LPG Association, NLPGA, many of our stakeholders are short of gas as it is at the moment. So the local market is also feeling that. It's not just Europe that's feeling that impact.
And talking about the local market, I've been paying so much for cooking gas, these days, and it is quite a burden, at this time compared to what I used to pay before. Now, about a year ago, it's about 100% up.
Yes.
At this time. What is the solution here?
Whenever I give talks at conferences, I say, look, gas is not isolated. It's not an isolated commodity. Whatever affects oil, affects staple foods, and so on, will affect gas. The issue for us in Nigeria, however, is that we have scored some spectacular own goals against ourselves with policy. So about a third of the current gas price is actually to do with a supply constraint. We are the fastest growing market. We have done a lot in the industry. The association, NLPGA, our suppliers have done a lot in the industry to make the market one of the fastest growing in the world, if not the fastest growing in percentage terms. But at the same time, the government has introduced a number of policies, and not just one, several conflicting policies that have targeted imports. Okay, so where you don't have, you've got a decline in local production because of all the issues we've just discussed, and you've got an attack on imports through levies, 40% levies here, taxation on this, taxation on that. The supply of from coastal deliveries from Europe and other countries has actually also plummeted. So overall, local supply has gone down and foreign supply has gone down. Those two are combining to make the price of gas shoot up. If we can address the supply issues, we can actually remove that element of the demand-supply gap.
And looking from where we are right now, do you see these prices coming down anytime soon? Do you think we're able to solve these problems soon?
Excuse me. Yes, I do believe it's the same way that the policy was formulated is the same way that the policy can be addressed or modified. Okay, so it just needs the agencies to be talking with each other. The various MDAs, the various agencies and departments at the moment are working not in concert but in conflict. So that is creating it's creating challenges for our stakeholders in terms of being able to bring gas in. With coordination, we can very easily resolve the supply challenges, which will then bring down or at least shave the peak of the gas prices that you refer to.
No, but what is your association, doing at this time? Talking about engagement with, the government and private sector.
We've been doing quite a lot. We've been doing a lot with the regulatory agencies. We've been doing a lot with the fiscal agencies and we've been doing a lot with the government in terms of trying to draw their attention to where these gaps or policy anomalies are causing us problems. So the challenge with advocacy sometimes is that it takes a long time before you see the benefits of it. But essentially exposure like this also makes the government listen a little bit more or puts more impetus on them to drive those changes we've been advocating. So no, we've been doing quite a lot, and anytime we have our forums, our conferences, things like that, we actually do bring this to the fore, where we have high-level ministerial attendance, where we have government attendance. We always bring these issues to the fore.
Quite interesting. But looking at the LNG industry now, what opportunities are there, for, say, young people, looking at that industry? They don't seem to understand it. What opportunities are there, for young professionals? Okay,
gas in general. I say the gas has two sides of a coin. There's natural gas, which is where LNG sits on, and there's LPG, the petroleum gas, which is where we sit in, the NLPGA. Both aspects of whether it's natural gas or LPG offer opportunity to young people. Nigeria is a very competitive environment. You need something to distinguish you or to create a barrier to entry for you in terms of being able to prosper and grow. Gas is very, very technical. Gas is very, you need to understand what you're doing with gas as opposed to a lesser extent, oil. The barrier to entry for gas is a little bit higher. And the way you distinguish yourself in gas is really more from a point of view of your capacity and your ability to utilize the product. We therefore encourage young people to come in. You will find that you can thrive. The more you build yourself, the more you build your own knowledge, the more you build your own capacity, the better you will be able to thrive, and not just here, but internationally.
Well, how would you describe entry into that market? From my mind, I see like a huge cost implication if you're trying to play in that market. What do you think?
I don't think so. So in oil, I'll give you my own background, for example. In terms of coming to Nigeria to start a business, I was very deliberate in terms of going for an area where it was a niche and we knew it would grow. And the market is growing, and it's growing really fast. The barrier to entry isn't that high. It just depends on what you choose to do, right? Not everybody in gas is selling gas. You could be an installer, you could be a fitter, you could be a technician, you could be teaching people how to use gas. But you need the knowledge, you need the background in order to be able to do this. So there are many areas. So every time we talk to people about gas, they just think, oh, it's about selling gas. It isn't about that. It's about manufacturing, it's about bottling, it's about supply chain, it's about finance, it's about loss prevention. There's so many areas that are associated with the use of gas that we haven't even begun to exploit. It is very important that the youth recognize this. It isn't just about lifting bottles around. It isn't just about learning how to cook with gas. It's a much broader topic than that.
Right, and I remember some picture that was circulating on the internet at some point. Was a guy holding a gas cylinder and a bottle of oil, saying, "I'm into oil and gas." I guess that's not how it works. But what's your outlook for the value chain going forward?
The value chain, we're beginning to see further investments in areas that have not been touched before. We're beginning to see people get interested in auto gas. We're beginning to see people get interested in power. We're beginning to see people get interested in hybrid solar gas installations. So we're beginning to see more people think, oh, hang on, this market isn't just what we thought it was. This market is a lot broader. It touches almost everything we do. So from our own perspective, this year, our focus is on the youth and young professionals in terms of, look, come and see what we do, come and participate.
Quite interesting. We're good to see how that industry actually grows and how the youth actually participate, not like running away from farming and all of that. Let's see them actually play, you know, in this industry. Thank you so much, Mr. Felix Ekundayo, MD Asiko Energy and President NLPGA. It was great having you on the program.
Thank you for having me on the program.
All right.
Take care.
So that was the conversation there. Now, so after the break, we're going to be talking about the contributions, talking about pension, how you can use that for your mortgage payment. That's talking about equity. We'll drill down on that next. That's in a moment. Do stay with us. This is Business Morning.